Hello. How much do you know about epilepsy? Anything? I didn't know much up to 2 years ago when I was diagnosed with it. This month, November, is International Epilepsy Awareness Month. Actually, it might just be in America. Either way, it's Epilepsy Awareness Month. And I didn't even know that until the other day. And I thought, that's good timing, because almost 2 weeks ago I filmed a whole piece about it to do on this vlog. One of the main reasons I started this vlog was to kind of track my journey with medication and to sort of just keep tabs on how I'm feeling and how it's sort of progressing or hopefully going away. I mean, it's hard enough to remember how you felt a week ago, let alone 6 months ago, so this has been quite a good tool. But I realised this is like vlog number 11, and I've been talking about epilepsy, I've been talking about different types of seizure, and I haven't actually explained anything about it at all. So this is a bit overdue, but that's what this vlog's going to be. So yeah, I recorded the bulk of this almost 2 weeks ago, and right on cue after recording my sort of explanation, that evening I had a fairly nasty focal onset impaired awareness seizure, which obviously if you keep watching you'll find out what that is and what's going on with it. But because I just filmed this piece earlier in the day, I thought, oh, I should film this. I got some symptoms coming. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna try and describe it. I did that on my phone, and as it turned out, when I watched it later, with a cracking headache and seizure hangover, it was a bit unnerving to watch because it was an impaired awareness seizure. Basically, my short-term memory got jazzed, and although I didn't lose consciousness, and in fact I had a conversation with my dad who came over when I texted him, I just didn't remember any of it. I didn't remember any of that, and watching it back was really, really spooky. So I'll play that at the end. It's a very grainy, dark video of me freaking out, basically, but it's what better description of what it's like to have a seizure than watch me have one. But yeah, keep watching to find out what it's actually like to live with temporal lobe epilepsy for me. And I really appreciate you taking the time to watch it, because something like 600,000 people in the UK suffer from epilepsy in some way. And it's common. Like, that's 1 in 100 people. It's a lot. Most people are diagnosed with it before they're 20 or after they're 65. So being diagnosed at 37 was pretty unusual. But and a lot of people, they grow out of it, or they find the medication that keeps it at bay and they never have to think about it. So far, that's not me. But you know, it's common, and it's super important to know what to do if somebody's having a seizure around you. If you don't know what to do, then you should watch this, or just skip to the end when I tell you what to do, because it's life-threatening and it's really, really important. It should be taught in school as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, so finally, vlog number 11, very overdue. This is the epilepsy episode. Cheers. So temporal lobe epilepsy. This is the brain. Temporal lobe. So there's a little point, a little area in my temporal lobe which is like a little lesion somewhere in there, I don't know where. And for people with temporal lobe epilepsy, or any kind of epilepsy, their symptoms completely depend on where in the brain the seizure starts. A seizure is basically an overload of electrical signals happening. The whole brain works off electricity, but if it goes haywire, which it does with epilepsy, it starts in an area and it spreads. If it only spreads a little bit, it only affects a few little areas and therefore gives you certain symptoms. If it spreads to the whole brain, it will send you unconscious, put you on the floor and make you have convulsions, because obviously it gets to your motor, the part of your brain that is responsible for your muscles, and they go rigid, and that's why you have what people think of as a seizure. But as I said, different kinds of seizure. There are auras, which are small. There are focal onset aware seizures. There are focal onset impaired awareness seizures, and there are tonic-clonic seizures, which are the ones that you think of when you think of epilepsy. There's a few other types of seizure that I don't get personally, like absence seizures, where you just disappear off into your own little world and don't remember anything. Anyway, so I can only really talk about my kind of epilepsy. So what I'm told by the specialist in Southmead Hospital is this part of my brain, where the lesion is in constant, I don't know if you can see that, is in constant seizure. It's constantly freaking out, but my brain knows that it can't use that area for anything, so I'm not aware of it happening because it's not affecting any useful parts of my brain. My symptoms happen in an order, and that order is because of how far it's spreading and therefore what it's affecting. The temporal lobe is responsible for emotions, it's responsible for auditory processing, so processing sounds, processing speech and language, for processing short-term memory, and it's where things like déjà vu happen. So the symptoms that I get are those things getting affected, basically. An aura, which lasts for me 10 seconds usually, is emotional. It's fear. I don't get joy, I don't get euphoria. Some people do. I get fear, like stone cold, like skin prickling, stomach dropping fear. I would liken it to, you're sitting at your desk, you're working, or you're watching TV, whatever it is, and then suddenly you get the sensation you would have if you're standing on the edge of a very sharp drop, cliff or whatever, and your mate comes up behind you and grabs you by the shoulders and goes, whoa, like that. Like, you're safe, but your whole sense, your senses just go, fuck, I'm gonna die, and then you're all right again. That's what an aura feels like for me. The next step up from that, if the seizure spreads a little bit, is for me is a focal onset aware seizure, which means focal onset starts in an area, and aware just means I'm aware of it happening. The sort of symptoms I get next after the fear are voices start to sound really, really strange. The best I can describe is they start to sound hollow and rounded. Just the sound of them is a feeling of déjà vu. Those are the main things that happen if the seizure stops there, and then it will go away. Those are the main symptoms that I'll have. If it progresses even further into my brain, I would call it then a focal onset impaired awareness seizure, and that's when I get very confused and lose a sense of time. I lose some memory. I can just get completely lost at what was I just doing? What was just happening? What is just a very confusing, very strange feeling, alongside all the other stuff that's still happening at the same time. The next thing I will usually get is I'll smell a horrible smell. For me, best way to describe it, it's like if you took a dishwasher tab and took a blowtorch to it. I've never done that, but that's what I imagine it would smell like. And as it gets worse, it becomes a taste at the back of my throat as well. If a focal onset seizure for me gets to the point where I can smell stuff, I go and get to my bedroom and lie in my bed, and if I can't do that, I'll just get on the floor and try and get away from the coffee table legs, get in a fetal position, and if I can, text my dad and say help. Usually that's all I can manage, and it can last 5-10 minutes, whatever. I don't really know, because my short-term memory is affected and I don't really know how long it's been happening for. I have to rely on people around me to tell me. But hopefully it goes away, and it goes away in the same order that it came, or the reverse order that it came, all those symptoms. If it continues to spread throughout your brain, it will affect, like I said, everything. I stop breathing, I go blue, I froth, I bite my tongue, spit blood. It's not a pleasant thing to see from what I understand, but obviously I've never seen it. My tonic-clonic seizures, from what I understand, last sort of 2 to 3 minutes of convulsing, followed by anything from 10 to 20 minutes of being unconscious. followed by, when I sort of start to wake up, another maybe 20 minutes of not being lucid, and I won't remember any of that time. You could have a conversation with me to some extent, but I'm not really there, and I won't remember any of that. And that's again because it's happened in an area of the brain that deals with short-term memory, and just wipes it off basically. And for me, what often happens is I will dislocate or partially dislocate this shoulder, which really, really hurts when I wake up. And if I'm really unlucky, I'll bite my tongue. I've bitten it really quite badly in the past. And I get a hangover from it, which is actually very much like a hangover from drinking, in that you get a fucking banging headache and just really tired, just exhausted. So in a nutshell, as small a nutshell as I can manage, that's my experience of epilepsy. That's what I experience. I'm on my third drug, trying my third drug at the moment to lessen the amount of seizures, and it's not working yet. I'm still having some kind of focal seizure every couple of days, and I'm having auras, which are the little fear moments, pretty much every day. So yeah, don't assume anything about what life is like for people with epilepsy, because what I've just described is just my kind of epilepsy, or it's pretty typical of anybody that's got specifically temporal lobe epilepsy. Like I said, 1 in 100 people have epilepsy, and only 7% of them have photosensitive epilepsy. It's a really, really tiny proportion. And I've had all frequencies of light flashed into my eyeballs whilst my head was hooked up to electrode things to see if any activity happened in my brain, and nothing happened. So I'm definitely not set off by lights. The things that I think triggered me to get epilepsy later in life, later than most people in life, were a period of intense stress in my life. In short, what triggers seizures? Well, people don't really know fully, but some of the triggers can be a change in the chemistry balance in your brain, because that affects the electricity. So things that affect that are lack of sleep, not eating properly, stress, heat, a few other things, I guess. The stuff that was going on for me in that summer was, it was the end of my marriage and 16-year relationship, which was hugely stressful and upsetting. But at the same time, I was quitting my job that I'd been at for 15, almost 16 years, to go freelance, which is a positive thing, but also really, really stressful. And also at the same time, I found a lump in my boob, and it took 6 weeks and 2 sets of biopsies to find out that it was benign. And that was just a really, really hard time for that to happen. I'm really grateful that it was benign, but my God, did that stack on some extra pressure. So that's, I think, why I got it. There's a good chance, because the lesion on my temporal lobe is probably been there since birth, there's a good chance I've always been susceptible to having epilepsy, and I may have already had seizures, just not known that's what they were. But the first tonic-clonic seizure I had, the first proper seizure, was that summer. It was a nocturnal seizure, so it happened at night, and I therefore didn't feel any of those I didn't feel an aura or anything coming, any warning, because I was asleep. I just woke up on the floor next to my bed. My shoulder was in agony, I'd bitten through my tongue, and I was covered in bruises and scratches, but I also I didn't know it at the time, experiencing the hangover from that seizure, so I was incredibly tired, and I just thought, oh God, I've fallen out of bed. I've hit the floorboards, I've probably broken my shoulder, but I was so tired I just went back to sleep. And in the morning, and I look at my face, and it's covered in bruises and scratches, and my shoulder is at this point very painful, my tongue's very painful. Call the doctor, I think I've broken my collarbone. And I fell out of bed and stuff, and she was obviously like, you might have had a seizure. And, what? They don't diagnose you straight away if you only just have one seizure, because anybody can have a seizure if the conditions are right. But then I had another one a month later, and then they did diagnose epilepsy. In the last 2 years, I've done as much learning as I can about it, and it's been a bit of a journey. I'm on my third drug, which isn't working at the moment, and surgery is an option, but I'm going to try a few more drugs before I get to that. That's kind of the experience that I have of it. Like I said, loads of people have it, loads of people have it. I think it's a really good thing that people are aware that there are people around you that might have epilepsy, and what to do if they have a full-blown tonic-clonic seizure is really one of the main things I want to get to. Because this should be taught in school. This really should be taught in school. It's life-threatening because you stop breathing. So first things first, that person that's having a seizure on the floor, protect their head, take your jacket off, do whatever you can to move any hard objects away from their head so they don't get a head injury. Try and put something underneath their head if possible so they don't bang it on the floor really hard. Don't try and hold on to them or restrict their movements. Basically just, apart from protecting their head, leave them alone and time it. Keep an eye on the time. If they ask more than 5 minutes, that is serious business. You need to get an ambulance there. To be honest, my epilepsy nurse says get people to call an ambulance straight away because it's going to take them a while to get there, and if it goes on for more than 5 minutes, it's going to be too late, really. The other thing that's really dangerous is if they have the seizure and then they stop and they're just unconscious, and then they have another seizure before they regain consciousness. That's super, super dangerous as well. This is really, really ambulance territory, get them to a hospital territory. But when the seizure stops and they're just unconscious, put them in the recovery position on their side and stay with them until they're fully recovered. That's basically just what you need to do. Hopefully an ambulance will come and they'll look after them. But if they don't, just stay with them until they're recovered and make sure they're okay. Because when they first come around, like when I first come around, I might be asleep for 20 minutes, and then there'll be 20 minutes after I wake up where I'm not really there. You might be able to talk to me, you might be able to have a full conversation with me, but I won't remember that time afterwards, and I'm not really with it at all. So you need to stay with that person until they do appear to be fully with it. Maybe ask them some questions that they couldn't answer unless they were really with it. That's it, really. I hope this is a much shorter recording than I did the first time around. And big shout out to the NHS for being fucking amazing and taking it so seriously. I guess they should, but like just the team that's looked after me are just really, really fucking great. And considering how overworked and underpaid and undervalued they are, I just think they're fucking great. Anyway, that's all I can think of. Thanks for watching. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to understand a little bit about it. And hopefully when I keep vlogging about this and I refer to having an aura or a focal, you'll know what I'm talking about, basically. It's just one of the main reasons for doing this. Okay, sorry it's not very light in here. I've started filming because I'm having a focal seizure. I'll see it's a focal it's a focal aware because I know I'm having it. So the feelings I've got are fear. My chest is it's hard to breathe. I feel shaky. I was just trying to describe what's going on right now. I started watching the Packers game. It's supposed to kick off soon. Oh, the smell. I've got the smell in my nose. Oh God. That's always bad. Oh God. The smell. Fuck. Oh God. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to go and lie on my bed. If I keep talking about it, will it make it worse? God, I'm scared. Oh God, I'm scared. Oh God. Oh, so I feel wheezy. I feel tight at my chest. I was just terrified. I try not to breathe through my nose, but I can smell it regardless. Oh God. Okay. I should probably text my dad. I'm gonna text my dad. So I've been looking forward to this game all day. It's not very often that the game starts at sort of 6 p.m. Seizure's left me
Just exhausted. I feel like I can't keep my eyes open. So I don't think I've got the energy to spend 3 hours watching this. As excited as I am to see them smash the Jaguars at home. Shattered. Just absolutely shattered. I have to get an early night, which kind of sucks. Sunday evening, I had some relaxation to do before the week starts. Oh.